Let the team at Black Hills Information Security test your defenses. With over 10 years of experience in penetration testing, red teaming, and threat hunting, the testers at Black Hills will help you find the holes in your security before the bad guys do. The team at Black Hills cares about educating and sharing their knowledge by creating countless blogs, open source tools, and webcasts for you to learn more about the tradecraft of pen testing and red teaming. Visit securityweekly.com/BHIS to join their mailing list and view the latest blogs and webcasts from Black Hills Information Security. The modern attack surface is vast and permeable, extending from the data center to the cloud and device edge. Security teams are stretched thinner and thinner as they try to cover this ground. The result? More high-profile breaches hit the news every day. Don't let your organization be next. ExtraHop delivers security from the inside out, helping enterprise security teams detect threats up to 95% faster and cut staff time to resolve by 2/3 or more. Act with confidence. Learn more at extrahop.com/securityweekly. Major data security breaches continue to make headlines. Are you prepared? Standardizing your security framework will help you stay competitive, be a reliable business partner, and manage intellectual property, financials, and employee and customer information. The American National Standards Institute, or ANSI, offers the standards you need in one place through standard subscriptions, a cost-saving, fully customizable solution. Sign up for your free trial at securityweekly.com/ANSI. Welcome back, everyone, to Business Security Weekly. This is like weird mirroring effect going on the screen. Jason was asking me what's in these cigars we're smoking.
Seriously, I don't know. Everything was looking backwards there for a hot minute.
It was.
What was happening?
I think it still is. In any case, Hacker Halted is in Atlanta, Georgia, October 10th through the 11th. EC Council is offering our listeners 15% off for any of their boot camp courses or workshops. Visit securityweekly.com/hackerhalted. Also, we've got some webcasts coming up with SaltStack domain tools and ISC Squared. You can go to securityweekly.com/webcasts to check those out. Basically, the first half is free training on general security topics, and the second half is everything you needed to know about that vendor's product without having to visit them at a trade show booth. Sure. Talk to their sales team, all that stuff. This is like we get right down to it so that if you do want to engage with that particular vendor, you're very well informed and can ask questions during the webcast.
That's right. Engage as you wish.
Right. Let's jump into the stories.
Absolutely.
Leadership articles for this week, Jason.
Yeah. So one of the first ones I grabbed, and we've talked about this a couple of times, that recently I've been very, very interested in organizational psychology and really diving deep into podcasts and research about how do leaders just make work not suck, right? I want to, it's one of those scenarios where you want to build a highly efficient, highly effective team, one that actually, is excited to come to work every day and really attack those business outcomes for the organization. So I grabbed a few articles here just to kind of help leaders like myself and like yourself kind of just take that step back, right? And really take a look at their organizations and kind of build that healthier environment, that more productive environment. So the first one I grabbed it's called The Trust Crisis in Business, right? And I mean, we see it every day. We see it in the political environment. We see it with information security on the news and social media and how it's acting. It's really about this huge concern with trust within organizations and really in our daily life, right? How do we trust these resources that we go to? How do we trust where we're at on a daily basis? And I read this study, and it basically said that 73% of respondents to the study worry about false information being used as a weapon. That's scary, right? And then the other piece of it that I pulled out of it was 1 in 5 people believe that the system is rigged against them. It's not working for them, whether it be within the work environment or just in general, right? So for me, that was pretty scary. So I wanted to go down and really take a deep dive into how do you just, make an environment where you can create an organization of trust, right? An environment of trust or culture of trust. So that way you're getting the best out of the best from your staff, from your employees, from your colleagues. So right?
It's the similar problem we have with social media today. We were talking about last Thursday.
Yeah, pretty much.
That false information gets out and it's immediately stamped as truth.
That's right.
And it spreads like wildfire.
Absolutely. And it happens within organizations too.
And when the truth does come out, it's too late.
That's right.
Changing people's opinion after that first, usually more what do you call it, sensational
Right.
than the truth,
Yep.
right? So people latch onto it more. And you're right. And I never thought of it this way. The same thing happens within organizations.
100%, right? And it's hard to combat that because now you're on the defensive side of it, right?
Oh, man. I've been there so many times. I think about it so many times.
Right?
Yes.
Now you're on your heels and you have to react to it. So how do you create that proactive environment, right? And some of the big topics that they came out was, as leaders, you have to be able to empower and trust your teams, right? So one of the stances that I take as a leader is I've hired these folks for a reason, right? I hired them because I trusted what they presented to me in the interview, what I saw on a resume. They were promoted within the organization because of ways they worked within the organization. So some of it is just letting go of that control a little bit as a leader, being okay with letting go of the control. And remember, you hired folks for a reason. Let them, empower them to innovate and go out there and even make mistakes if they have to, right? As long as you're creating an environment that's controlled and it's not going to be business impacting and you're allowing them to make their own mistakes, I think it's a healthy environment. Number one, for the organization to innovate, and number two, for folks to grow.
Yes. I think, one of the things I did this morning was set reasonable deadlines and milestones, right? Because I think so often in our careers, Jason, right, you get the deadline or the milestone and it's completely unreasonable. And that's not working in anyone's favor, right? And then offer help. And I don't know if this maps to one of our articles, right? But, and I brought up in our interview too, is the resources that you have. You can always add more resources to meet a milestone, provided you've planned accordingly, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to trust, your employees trust is a two-way street, right? And you have to trust the people on your team to come to you and say, I think we could use some more resources, right?
Absolutely.
And that is a valid request at any juncture and something that I didn't always, see or benefit from during my career all the time, right?
Because you may not have had the culture that allowed for that.
Like right? I can ask for help, or I can say with the resources I have, like this ain't happening.
That's
right. I don't think this is happening, right? And have the discussion.
That's the key, right? Being a leader that's open to have difficult discussions, hard discussions. Yeah. And don't create a culture where folks will be scared to raise their hand if they have a question or a concern, right? Yeah. Open door policy, have them come in. The other side of it is communication, right? I mean, it's great to have that traditional communication, what do you want to call it, playbook, right? Yep. You have the town hall meetings, you have the team meetings, but we live in a day and age where communication has to be individualized at some level, right? We've talked about this before. Know your audience, right? Some people work in a certain environment or a certain way where they thrive. So make sure you're communicating on all different levels, right? Have those town hall meetings, but also have one-on-ones, have real discussions, build relationships with your folks, push down a culture where your managers can be building relationships with their staffs, right? So that way you're truly getting to know the folks within your environment. You can maximize their strengths, and you're creating an environment where feedback is okay, right? And having that open communication. So, I think it becomes stuffy and corporate if you're only doing those things that you have to do and following the playbook. Yep. We don't live in that kind of environment anymore. Those we know the ills of the past. Let's not fall victim to those. Let's make sure that we're empowering our staff, communicating well to our staff, and in turn, you put that all together, it's going to allow for them to really innovate and innovate rapidly and quickly. And you still have that strategic foresight or insight into what's happening within your team.
Right. Absolutely.
So the next one that I pulled out was employee engagement. It's right in line with this, right? Employee engagement and successful change. So, employee engagement, like we just talked about, is very, very important to have business outcomes, right? Thinking about productivity, thinking about employee retention and customer satisfaction. But what we don't seem to focus on is the levels of employee engagement for you to be innovative and to be able to promote rapid change, right? And I think what we just talked about in the last article is a little bit of something that you can put forth to help create that kind of a culture. But this also had some statistics, right? Only 1/3 of U.S. employees are engaged in their job. That's scary when you poll, right? And then it said roughly 1/6 of them are actively disengaged. Now, this is the opposite side of the house. When they say they're actively disengaged, that means by Gallup, this is a Gallup study, that they're actively undermining their employers' efforts to create healthy and productive organizations.
Oh yeah.
That was a scary statistic to me. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, because there's a big difference, and what I think you just defined was really 3 different categories, right? Those that are engaged in both ways, right?
Right.
They're engaged with their job and their employers engaged with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are those that are engaged with or maybe not engaged with their job and their employers trying to,
Yep.
you know, pull them along.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are disengaged are, and you've seen in a lot of the books that we've read, right?
Absolutely.
Toxic to the culture.
100%.
I mean, usually those people got to go.
Yep.
right.
In that,
Good to great probably took the most strong stance on that.
very, very strong posture on
Right.
that. Absolutely. Right. And it's that old baseball analogy of the cancer in the clubhouse, right? You can't afford the cancer in the clubhouse. So you have to take care of that. But when I look at these statistics, that means only half of our employees are fully engaged.
Yeah.
50%. That doesn't bode well for organizations like mine who need to be innovative, be change agents, and really be rapidly innovating their organizations and their clients, right? So building this level of a culture of having employee engagement is huge. We have to do that, right? We have to be things like promoting the team. Right? We can't be promoting individuals. We have to be promoting the team. We have to be promoting the successes and the outcomes of the teams, right? And building these teams, these really strong teams together. You know, and again, we have to be investing in communication methods, right? Talking to the individuals and having strategic conversations and trusting them to do the right thing, right?
And empowering those people to do it with their respective teams, right? Because as your organization grows, you're not going to have that much communication with everyone in your team.
That's right.
Right? It's getting like good, great, right? Those right people on the bus that you know are going to carry forward that
They're actually
that
going to
culture.
take the strategy and the culture and deploy it within their own individual organizations.
Yes.
And that's how it spreads, right? That's how you create that viral culture and create a DNA of how things operate. And one of the biggest pieces that I pulled out of this article is, again, listen, right? I know as leaders...
There's some great examples in extreme ownership about that as well.
I mean, listening is huge, right? I mean...
I happen to remember like a story about the female CEO. It just so happened that was the example in the story that had the teams and they were making changes. So you're like hearing this and like I want to see more examples.
Right.
Extreme ownership.
Jocko,
absolutely. Right. It's great
incredible book. But you know, over the course of a career, you know, we've built our careers over time being successful. We're leaders because we were able to take and propel our careers. But one of the things from my perspective is if we're not actively listening, we're not actively learning, right? We still have to continue to learn. And we're not going to know what's going on, the feet on the street, right? What's happening within organizations without having that level of connection and relationship to our employees. And active listening is a huge piece of that. How are you going to know the feedback that's coming back to the organization if you're not listening?
Yeah.
If you're always dictating and telling and managing the conversation, I think one of the best qualities you can have is becoming an active listener and truly engaging with the employee and learning. You still have to be learning from your employees, no matter where you sit within the org chart, right? So last article that I grabbed was 3 shocking ways to show up today. And this is specific to the leader, right? And it ties right in. I tried to line these up where the articles tied into each other. And one of the big statements that came out of this, knowing stuff got you where you are, but not knowing takes you where you need to go, right?
Yep.
That's a huge statement for me. I mean, you have to choose how you show up every single day. You have to be that leader who walks in and models the way, right? You have to be the model for your organization. And key points within this article are, and they get reinforced, is show up and let others be right.
Yeah.
Allow folks to be right. You don't always have to be the smartest person in the room.
Know what you don't know.
Know what you don't know, right? So not knowing is okay as a leader. I love to learn from my staff. I love to learn from other folks in our business units. I love to learn from other colleagues.
Taking over as the developer, I realized I don't know a lot of things, right? And I'm asking people who probably do know, right? The questions, right? How should I do this? And some of it's some self-learning too, but you got to be willing to identify your gap areas,
100%.
Ask the right people. And even if the people aren't giving you the answer, right, which is another thing I learned early in my career, is when you don't know something, don't just expect to go to someone and get the answer. A good leader, right, is talking about leaders talking to leaders, right?
That's right.
A good leader will set you on the right path.
Point you in the right direction.
So that you can learn on your own and you're going to remember that so much better
100%.
than if someone just gives you the answer, right?
And in the day and age where, you know, we as CISOs are either fighting for their seat at the table or proving ourselves at the table. We need to be learning from our colleagues. We need to be learning the business.
Yeah.
We need to be learning from our CFOs. We need to be learning from our
like Jeremy said, a
leaders
lot of these
HR.
things are a journey, man.
They
It's
are.
not a, quick answer here. It's a journey to manage a cloud migration, right?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a journey.
And you need to understand the business. Otherwise, the
Yes.
project's going to fail. If you don't understand how the business operates, the project's going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So by sitting there and creating those relationships and letting other people sitting at the table be correct and teach you, you're learning a strategy that's going to allow you to better engage in the business, right? So, and again, embolden others to act. Allow people to be successful. Allow your team to raise up to that success status and show it in front of other business leaders.
John Strand we were talking about empowering employees, and he's like, yeah, I basically tell people, like, you go make the decisions on your own.
Yeah.
As long as you exercise good common sense,
That's right. 100%.
there's no harm, no foul,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And if you set the culture and allow people to make decisions on their own,
Yep.
and I do this like with Sam, for example, all the time. I'm like, I trust your judgment.
That's right.
And if your employees, but you can't do that if your employees don't understand the culture and the mission.
That's right.
Right. And as a leader, you have to be reinforcing that. Then, good to great, you got level 5 leaders. They're making decisions on their own, man. And guess
100%.
what? They're accomplishing the mission because you put all those pieces in place.
And that leads to the last bullet here, right? Is show up and get out of the way.
Yes.
Right? The last bullet is show up and get out of the way. So a lot of times with my managers, I'll say, my job is to allow you to put me out of a job.
Yep.
That's my job. My job
Absolutely.
is to teach you to become a CISO, right? I trust you enough to be in a management role within my organization. I want you to become the CISO someday. I'm going to guide you on how to become a CISO. That means I'm off to my next gig. That means I'm off to my next career change, right?
Right.
So that's how I look at my staff. I want to build them to a point where they can literally put me out of a role and I don't have to worry about it.
And it's also nice too, I think, and you can't do this with every role or task or project, right? But if you've been there and done that before, right, you get that perspective and you pass that off
That's right.
to someone else.
That's right.
Right. So then, creating this company for 14 years, I've had the luxury really of filling a lot of the roles, right? Like right now I'm filling a role as developer, right? But my goal is not to take on that role. My goal is to still do development, right?
Sure.
But I don't want to fill that role in the company as a developer. I want to experience it. I want to then guide another team of people to be able to do that with your vision.
And allow them to springboard off of the foundation you built.
Absolutely.
Right.
And make their
That's
own
the key.
decisions.
And make their own innovations, decisions, and
Absolutely.
rapidly improve this organization.
Yep. That's the key.
It is.
Make it sound easy.
Well, easy say, hard do.
Yeah. Getting the right people on the bus, though, I think
That's the
really, and
biggest
all
piece.
the 3 things we talked about,
That's the biggest piece.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really
you need to have you need to be hiring staff who have the attitude and the aptitude to walk in the door, right? To be able to work with you as an organizational leader, be on the same page, be looking at those same outcomes, driving to those same outcomes, and want to learn.
Yeah.
Right. They have to want.
Well, one of the things recently is Application Security Weekly. Right here on the show. I mean, you'll hear some new hosts on that show.
Yep.
Because I totally trusted the people that the entire team.
Yeah.
Right. And we added 2 new people, and with the guidance of the entire team at Security Weekly, I'm hearing the show in the background, and I'm like, it's going so awesome.
That's great.
Right.
That's great.
And the team's doing a great job here internally at Security Weekly, but the hosts are also people who have chosen. I listened to that. I'm like, they really just grasp the whole spirit and are off to the races.
That's right. And you let others be right. You showed up and got out of the way.
Yep.
Right.
And
you
I stay out of the way.
empowered them to do what they needed to do. Right. And they're doing awesome
Exactly.
things. Perfect example. I love it.
Cool. What else?
That was it.
Also, the last episode of Secure Digital Life, the entire team talked about how to create a podcast. And I didn't have to be involved. And I didn't have to be involved.
That's awesome.
And it came out awesome.
That is sweet. I'm going to have to check that out.
I'm like, I can check that off my bucket list, right? Like I passed on that knowledge. And yeah. So that's really cool.
Outstanding, Paul.
Yeah, that's really all I had to say. Again, I've been doing a lot of coding lately, which is it's interesting to be in that position today because I understand the business and the requirements because I have to, right? And now I can actually go, write some of the code. So a lot of those things I can prototype a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right. which is awesome. And it's interesting. I talked to John Strand and Dave Kennedy. They do a lot of similar things because we're still staying technical.
Sure.
We'll oftentimes prototype a lot of things, understanding the goals of the business and the strategic direction very well because we've built the companies.
Yep.
We'll prototype something, and I do with the production guys too, right? Like prototype something, get it working, and okay, now it's your goal to operationalize that so that it supports the mission of the business.
And again, as a leader,
that's an important thing.
As
to
a leader,
do
you're building the foundation, right? And you're saying, all right, take what I've built and make it way better. Right?
Yep, exactly.
Take it to the next level. Cross that finish line where I aimed this to go, and I trust you to do it. Go do it, right? And if you run into roadblocks, come to me. If you need an escalation point, come to me. I'll help you get
more
there.
Resources, right?
I'll break down any roadblock that you need broken down. I just want you to go and have at it. Take this foundation and make it something awesome.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, that concludes this edition of Business Security Weekly. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.